Check, check. I think we're live. So yeah, give me a second to get Glenn up in here, and then we will start the show as usual. So, um, take a toke, smoke a bowl, spark a joint, do whatever you gotta do. We'll get started in a couple minutes. As I say every week, unfortunately, it takes a few minutes to get Glenn, our co-host, in here. So I'm working on that. Um, Today's show, we're going to be talking about. Hang on, I'm trying to get Glenn in. Sorry about that, y'all. These shows are always going to suck at the beginning. It's just kind of how it works out, I think. I haven't even hit a dab yet, so that sucks. What's going on? Looks like something happened and it shut this off. I don't know why that happened. Okay, it's saying we're still live. Yo, it's saying we're still live, and it's doing some weird stuff. Yo, it's saying we're still live. Yeah, said we weren't live, and then I added my other account by accident. So give me a second. I'm trying to figure out how to stop this. Um, yeah, said we weren't live, and then I added my other account. Give me a second. Figure out how to stop it. Okay, I got that one fixed. Now I'm back here waiting on Glenn. Sorry about this, y'all. Glenn's requested, and I still can't get him in here. There we go. Okay, we should be actually 3 minutes in, and we should be starting soon. It looks like it let me invite Glenn in. So yeah, like I was saying, sorry about that. Today we're going to be talking about another murder by LAPD. Um, talking about white Christian nationalists and their terror they're causing across the nation, and we're going to talk about restroom use for transgender people. Um, it looks like Glenn's in here. Glenn, are you in here? He's muted still. Hmm. So well, I guess I'll take a dab while I wait until Glenn connects. Twitter really needs to get this where you can set your show up before it's live. Well, Glenn disappeared. Dang it. So we'll probably be 5 minutes into the show or 6 minutes before we can start. Invite co-host, Canadian Glenn. Send invite. Oh. Taking dabs of some papayas, Skittles, diamonds, and some chocolato. Both are diamonds.
Jesus Christ.
There you go. I was telling all the awesome people what I was smoking on. Are you in here now? Still? I don't see
Yeah,
it. You see, I don't see you in here.
this fucking app, man. Like I had to close the app, fucking reopen it twice. It's just, awesome Tesla product, I guess.
It says there's no co-host in here. This is really weird. But I
Oh
see
yeah.
you and I hear you.
And then on my screen it says co-host, and it invited me twice more after I was already given it. So
It keeps
whatever.
popping up in my notifications like every 5 seconds. It says Glenn is a co-host. Okay. Well,
Excellent
anyway,
app.
what?
Excellent app. Good job. 44
Yeah.
billion sounds like a bargain for this kind of shit.
So I was trying to invite you and I accidentally switched accounts and then I was listening live because I was trying to get back on and I was listening live from the Tim Best Buds '03 account. Well, I was live, so I was getting all this feedback. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
know. I heard
Twitter.
it.
Come on, Twitter. You can do better. It
Well, they
wasn't even
can.
feedback, it was like a super delay echo thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like Spreaker is when you got two two sources like that. Same shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, they could do a lot better, but they don't feel like it. Are you gonna pay? No. Whatever. Too bad.
If we have our 15 billion listeners all write into Twitter about this, I'm pretty sure it'll get solved really quick.
While we're on the subject of that, the Pope is coming to my city in a couple weeks.
Hide the children. Um, yeah.
So I could, try and get him to take a picture and some swag or something if you want.
Well, I've decided since we have a listening base that's double the population of the Earth, we don't need the Pope anymore.
All right. Some interesting math.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to get started because this is some boring shit right here. Everyone's like, yeah, let's tune in to hear him bitch about how Twitter doesn't work. I still don't see you on here, so I'm crossing my fingers, hoping everything goes smooth.
Yeah, give it an hour, then it'll figure it out. Change the
Okay.
icon.
So yeah, I guess we're gonna give some quick shout outs at the beginning to the Sri Lankan protesters who physically ousted their president, and to Tetsuya Yamagami for drilling Shinzo Abe. He said, "Better late than never." That'd be like somebody drilling Bush or Clinton or Trump or Obama or something now. It's not a bad thing. It's just like it's something better. It's late. Oh man.
Well, well, Abe was definitely
Did I say
in
Abe
the.
because I was reading it? I know it's Abe. Go
He
ahead.
was
Sorry.
definitely preferred by the old boys network. He was the first Japanese prime minister since the end of the war, since they got the constitution that they have now. He's the first one that ever wanted to change their constitution so that the Japanese armed forces could go elsewhere. He's the first one that wanted to do that. And he basically quadrupled Japan's defense spending. So, of course, he had lots of friends in the West. Everybody talks, well, in the US, there's a certain community who likes to try and blame every killing of note on mental illness. Well, in this one in Japan, it actually was. The pictures I saw of what they're calling a shotgun looks like he made it in his cubicle at work or something. That was definitely a homemade shotgun, but it worked. So, you know.
I mean, those have been around. Those have been around forever. I mean, before you had 3D printed ghost guns, you had homemade, like zip guns and stuff. People was making all the time.
Yeah.
At least here, I don't know about Canada's a whole nother world when it comes to certain things. But yeah, that was just a little bit more advanced than some of the ones I've seen. But yeah, good on him. Either way, I mean,
Well,
people that ruin the world are terrible people.
well,
And if all the people weren't acting like the Sri Lankans and just running, I mean, there's a prime minister now that would have been a better target maybe, but whatever.
well, they have a strange government, kind of like the French. They have a president and a prime minister. It's kind of fucked up. But
Yeah.
as far as Japan goes, I mean, the way I look at it, okay, so some former G7 leader gets offed. Well,
Yeah, it's not gonna change anything really,
well,
except their security maybe.
yeah, but how many people did he help kill?
That's my point.
Yeah,
It's like no big loss. It's karma if they want to call it that, or just justice.
I mean,
These people are, yeah,
nobody likes to talk
they're
about
going.
it, especially in the U.S. But basically, the biggest reason that Abe got the boot is because he kept bending over for the U.S. military all the time, and especially on Okinawa, they've had enough of this shit. Like, fuck off already. That was like 70, 80 years ago now. Hit the fucking road. But, you know, they don't talk about that in the press on this side of the world. That's why all the U.S. Marines are going to Australia now, because they're getting kicked out of Japan.
Yeah. You, if you're hearing a bunch of crazy noises, because my neighbors are doing some weird construction inside their garage right outside my door, or my window, I mean. So there's a bunch of hammering and sawing and noises. Plus, I'm choking now because of the wax. Um, shoot.
Okay, fuck Abe. That's enough of that.
Yeah. But even more than that, assassinations aside, we really need to, just look at the sheer number of people that can run up and oust the president. It's everybody united, everybody doing their part, everybody going all out and making change happen. We should just take note. That's all I'm saying.
The level that it takes for action is different everywhere.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking. I've always been thinking this. Like people of the world are people of the world. Each person got their own country, but if we all just could coordinate and hit everything at the same time, we drive them crazy.
I don't think that's.
Like all these countries doing what got to be done the same day, same time. What are they gonna do?
Well, I just don't think that's allowed, basically.
If it was allowed, it wouldn't make change. It would just be called voting. Um,
I don't,
oh my
I
God.
mean, the fact is, there's no, if I was somebody in power and I was, your typical run of the mill fascist, narcissist piece of shit, I would be thinking, how hard do we have to beat these people down before they'll actually fucking fight back? So, Sri Lanka gave indication. A lot of other places, no, it's not happening. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like back in the day in the 90s when the Americans were in Somalia and all you saw were all these pictures of black people running through the streets of Mogadishu with AK-47s. And basically their whole point was get the fuck out of here. So it's not happening a whole lot of places really yet, or even fewer that we know about.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on from that, if that's cool, unless you got more stuff
Oh
on
no.
that. Um, yeah. But yeah, we got to get it together. So anyway, last week, unfortunately, it's just this noise is driving me crazy. They're just beating on the walls and make the whole place like noisy. Anyway, um, last week there was another murder by LAPD, and it wasn't far from where I'm at. So I went down there. I showed up maybe 20 something minutes after the shooting or the murder. Um, they were doing their cover up thing when I got there. I put the videos on YouTube. They had it all taped off, and they had 9 million cops there. I said there's easily a million, more than a million. Could have been $2 to $5 million out there, walking around, sitting around, laughing, getting food, chilling out. Well, these cats were all working on how to cover it up. They had the press information officer there. All the media was there. She gave a statement. I'm pretty sure they used dynamic mics. I was trying to yell really loud to shut it down. It didn't last long. I got around the side as much as I could. Dynamic mics are hard depending on how they're set up. If you got a really good quality mic, you can, it could just pick up what's in front of it, like with 3 feet. It's not going to get anything else. I got a mic like that right here. So yeah, I did my best, but I didn't really shut anything down. But I made noise. And then I mocked some cops. One cop was trying to play music to because he thought I was streaming live, so he's trying to shut my live stream down. And I think that's something that maybe should be reported. I'm gonna look into that with the report expert.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills tactic.
Yeah, that's when I seen it. They did it to that dude. Always film the police dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I've seen him on other videos doing it since then to other people.
Well, of course. I mean, if cops can get away with it, it takes about a week before they're all doing it.
I mean, because think Beverly Hills is the ones that got in trouble for it. You're right. So LAPD be like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do
Yeah,
it till we get in trouble for it. And how are we going
exactly.
to get in trouble for anything?
That's right.
So no, then I went around and I seen this dude, and he seen me yelling at the police. He's like, I hate them, man. I was like, yeah. And because he was trying to go somewhere and he just needed to go that way, and they wanted him to go all the way like 3 blocks around. But he was there um, at the bus stop by. There's a Tommy's on the corner, so it's like pretty far away. So he had shot a video of it. So I saw the video. Um, I watched it a couple of times, but it was on a phone with no sound. So yeah, I seen the cops. I thought they were shooting the dude, but I guess they were walking up to him with the guns. Um, because I seen another video. I'll explain this all in a second. But yeah, so it looked like they all had their guns on this dude. He was on the ground, and then um, it didn't look like he had any weapons. That's what I was asking. Like, is there a weapon? You can even see it on the video. I'm like, there's no weapons around him. And then I looked again, and then he's like, no. And he kind of like, how you could like kind of zoom in on the video and wiggle it around a teeny bit. He doesn't go far in, but it goes a little bit on the phone. So yeah, he did that, and we didn't see anything. So then, yeah, then they just stayed there like all night working on the cover up to make sure that not one cop gets in trouble for this. And it turns out dude probably had a knife when I seen the other video that somebody had sent me on a they sent it to me on a DM because somebody had posted it. It's out there. You can find it. But yeah, it looked like dude had a knife and he was chasing the cop and the cop shot him and killed him. And it's unnecessary, man.
Yep.
Like, this is the thing. Everyone's like, oh, because that's what the dude was saying. Somebody was like, well, he was chasing the cop. So what? He had a knife. He didn't have a gun. When I say someone's armed, I'm saying I mean gun. You
Yeah.
specify if it's a knife. Because when you say armed, people think gun. At least I do. I don't be like, oh, what does he have, an ice pick on him? You know what I mean? They'd be like, that dude got an ice
Baseball
pick
bat.
on him. That dude got a baseball bat. Or they coming with bats. They're not like there's 5 armed cats coming up in the park. It's like, no, there's 5 cats with baseball bats about to come up in here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just they say armed on purpose. We've said this before. It's a propaganda tactic. Because when you hear armed, you think guns, or you're thinking the worst, like, oh, these cops had no choice.
Yep.
But it was a knife. And I was thinking about something I always say, cops in other countries could take out a dude with a knife, 2 machetes, a sword, whatever. And how come LAPD can't? But it gets even worse because cops in jails do this every day. Here, local jails. They're not shooting everybody with a knife in jails. They're going with shields. They're going with pepper spray. They go in there with batons and stuff, and they rush them cats, tasers, whatever. They surround them with the shield just like they do in other countries. So how come they can't take them tactics and use them on the streets? They had 900 cops there anyway. You don't even need that many with shields to come out and surround the dude, corner him, take his, crack him in the hand till he drops his knife. I just don't know why all these people with knives are getting shot all the time.
Because it's sending a message.
I mean, really, how many people with knives are getting blown away by police in Canada? I know
Uh,
there's some, but I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. But I mean, it's not like because somebody held up a knife, like somebody did something with the knife, then they end up dead. But like
even
just,
then, even then, the cop could have chilled back. You know what I
well,
mean?
yeah.
They got
But I mean,
tasers. They got all kinds of stuff. They aggravate stuff, man. They get in people's faces. They want to pat them down and sweat them, and
well, that's a whole another different
they like
ideology of fucking policing.
to escalate everything.
Yeah, because they're
Got arrest quotas.
buyers, not sellers.
Yeah,
That's the deal.
but I believe
And
that makes 3 people they murdered this month. LAPD, and they just knife, shoot them, knife, shoot them, knife, shoot them. I've seen videos where cats got a knife from 20, 30 feet away and they shoot them. You've seen the one in the mall. The dude didn't even have anything. And the
yeah.
guy comes and shoots him, kills a little girl, kills him. It's insane.
Well,
If
it's
you
not
that
just,
scared, if you that terrified, you shouldn't be a cop, maybe.
well, whatever. I mean, like I've said before, I hear about stuff like this, and the next thing I'm going to talk about, and it sounds exactly like fucking Iraq. It's the exact same bullshit. Last week in Albuquerque, the cops did their special ops fucking run and ended up killing an absolutely innocent teenager.
They burned him alive, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Throwing tactical grenades in the house, caught on fire. Uh,
And not only, and that kid was visiting that house. He didn't even live there. He had,
and I was correct? That was the wrong house altogether, right?
well, the cops were after this kid for whatever horse shit, some kind of probation fucking order or something. So they followed him to this house. And then they decided, because he's a teenager and he's so dangerous, they're basically going to do a SWAT warrant for this kid. And of course, they went in way too hard. And, they stormed the house. They fired in flashbangs. And yet, as we've seen before, they do that, but then they basically don't let anybody come out anyway. They'll fire in the flashbangs, then they'll stand back 10 feet off the porch and everybody's got locked and loaded. Well, who the fuck's coming out, So they just kind of set up their thing. Then the kid they're looking for came out on fire. So they put him out and took him to the hospital. And then they just basically figured, okay, show's over. Let's call the fire department. And this 14-year-old kid who didn't live there died of smoke inhalation inside. And the cops did all this, all of it. There's just, nobody went in. Nobody checked out, where the fuck is this stuff you see all the time about they clear the rooms and stuff? They didn't give a shit. This is like a military operation, flat out.
Yeah,
we don't give a shit. We don't give a shit who's dead behind us. We got our objective. That's all that matters. Yeah, this is military, man.
Can only be sensible in the movies and video games. In real life, they just go all out, like trigger happy. Look at all this cool military gear we got. Let's put it to good use so we can get some more for next year.
Unbelievable.
We got to justify the tank here. We got to justify all these grenades. We got to justify all this gear. That's why there's a million cops for everything.
So apparently
justify these budgets. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So apparently it was basically detectives that followed these two kids to this house. They tried to arrest the kid on the warrant outside the house. The kid ran in the house. At that point, they called the SWAT team.
What did the kid have an assault rifle shooting at him or something? Like, what was the threat? What was such the huge threat?
I guess because he refused to surrender at their feet right there and then, I guess.
I mean, because like even if he had a gun, why do you need all that SWAT? You know what I mean?
No, it's basically because you didn't listen to us, kid, so fuck you.
Most people aren't going to shoot when the police come. They're going to try to get rid of the gun. Like, we've talked about that, and that's just the facts. When people run, they're trying to ditch stuff. They're not like, oh, let me get to a cool spot so I can shoot these cops and get more of a charge if I get caught. You know what I mean? They're like, no, let me drop everything that's going to get me any time and try to get away. And if not, at least I'll get caught with nothing on me.
This is as good as the LAPD blowing up that neighborhood, man. Like, this is just so completely fucking stupid and reckless. It seems like you people have had no training whatsoever to fuck up this bad.
They train with a defense force from a terrorist state. So what do you think's going to happen?
My God. Like, for the amount of training and experience, unfortunately, that these cops have doing this type of thing, the only way they could possibly fuck shit up this bad is if they just didn't care. That's the only way. This is malicious. There's no way around that. There's just simply no excuse. Like I said, this is just like in Iraq or in Vietnam. When you went after then it was the Viet Cong, but then it was the insurgents. It's you fucking kill them. You kill them hard. And this is the same shit in American streets. You know? Like I said, it's one of those views that you get from being outside the US, but holy fuck, man, it's pretty ugly up here. But you knew that.
Yeah, you know what some other cops were doing the last few weeks, months, years? They've been protecting Nazis and chilling with Nazis all across the country as they're out terrorizing people. They're terrorizing gay people, they're terrorizing trans people, they're terrorizing abortion clinics. They shut down Planned Parenthoods early over in Santa Monica here in LA. Um, yeah, and oddly enough, they're all wearing masks. These are the same people that have spent, how many years now? 3 years plus going over, threatening lawsuits of stores for violating their rights and can't take my rights. I'm not wearing a mask and all this crap. Now they're all out there masked up because they don't want to, because they're there to inflict violence and terror. That's why they're masked up.
Yeah.
And like
Now they're
somebody said, I don't want to lose my job or get arrested. So yeah, now masks are okay.
well, I'm just curious for the next time that somebody gets arrested for armed robbery and they say, well, I didn't want to lose my job. So yeah, I wore a mask when I did it. Like, what do you expect? What's the big deal?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're there for violence. They're there to cause terror. That's why
But,
they're masked up. They're there to scream racist,
oh, I know that.
homophobic slurs, and
But to try and explain it away that way, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, no. I mean, I don't know about down there, but here, if you wear a mask or a disguise and commit a crime with a gun up here, that's going to cost you another fucking sentence. So,
I mean, as you know, down here just before COVID, they were trying to enact all these mask laws all over the place where you can't wear a mask. At protests, you can't wear a mask going in the building, and it was because of protests.
yep.
And then COVID hit, and I was against those, still against them. COVID hit, and I couldn't enforce them anymore anywhere. So that was beautiful.
Yep.
But now these cats are all, we can't wear them. I'm like, it hides your face. I've been saying that forever. Everywhere you go now is cameras. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to wear a mask? But anyway, yeah, that they're, no, it's my freedom. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to. I can't breathe. Oh my God, I have medical problems, religious reasons, exemptions, and you know what I mean. And
Free to
all of a
self
sudden,
identify.
all those same people with all the medical exemptions, religious exemptions, all masked up to go do some Nazi shit.
See, this is the thing of the last decade. Way too many dumb people got on the internet. Because if you go back a decade and you would tell people to do something, the first thing they would say is, I ain't fucking self-doxing. That would be the first thing they would say. Now, now it took, 3 years. And I think what really happened is all these idiots from January 6th being identified from video. That's what changed things. It's like, ooh, geez, I guess we can get caught.
Yeah.
I think that's what changed that.
It's just like the clown show, but it was not. I've seen some videos where like people were at these little, because I got restaurants that's on the sidewalk, people sitting on the sidewalk, like, and the people are going over and booing them and flipping them off and talking shit to the Nazis that are marching down the streets. So that's kind of cool that just random people are all like, get the fuck out of here. We hate you. You're a Nazi and all this and that.
Yeah.
At least they not getting no love. But here's the other thing. That's how got into this was the police are out there protecting them. The police let them shut down this Planned Parenthood clinic. The police, there's picture after picture. The police smiling, leaning next to him, chilling, and it's not shocking because we've seen this a million times.
Well,
When we
this
were at that
is,
that spa, there's a spa in L.A.
yeah.
We were protesting over there. I don't know if I put it out. I don't know. There's probably in one of the videos I have. There's this racist Nazi bigot dude, and he's out there, and he's just chilling with the police. He walks up the street. They got everybody pushed back to one side of the street, threatening people not to come past this line and all this. And then he walks right up behind the cops and is chilling, leaning, talking to them, laughing, drinking his coffee, holding his camera. And the cops smiling and talking to him. And this went on for like 10 minutes or more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but these people are just state sanctioned LARPers. That's all they are. And I mean, that's all well and good, but there comes a time when they ain't going to get along. And it doesn't matter how much you get along, quote unquote, with some other people, but if they're not cops and you try to hurt one cop and you're not a cop, you just crossed the line. And this is exactly what happened with this bullshit over July 1st weekend in Ottawa. These idiots found out that nobody was fucking around this time. They walked through the streets and there were people who lived in Ottawa out on the streets telling them to fucking go home right away. They weren't even in the city yet and they were being told to fuck off. And when they did try and start some shit, here's the tow trucks, here's the cops. Fucking beat it. So when enforcement started, all the sissies got upset. And then a couple of them did fuck with the cops. And of course, you know what happens. One idiot jumps on one cop, 8 cops show up.
Yeah.
And we know what happens there. I mean, they didn't pull a Rodney King on him because it's Canada, but I mean, still. And then from then on, for the rest of this failed weekend, the cops were like, fuck you guys. We're not sticking up for you for shit.
See, here it's different. Like, look at the Capitol riots, the January 6th thing. They had all these cats rush up in there trying to overthrow and install Trump as dictator of the United States, basically. And you had cops letting them in. And you have cops chilling with them. Same thing. You see what I'm saying? And then you had other cops that were like, oh, shoot, it's my job. I got to oppose these people. And that's where the scuffle happened. You know what I mean? So you look at it like what happened. A lot of Nazis got hurt. A lot of pigs got hurt. One pig died. One Nazi died. Oh, no big deal. Could have been more. Anybody in that skirmish is an enemy of mine. So let them all get each other. But the cops were on. A lot of cops were on their side. They let them in. They moved the barriers. They let them in.
Well, see,
Cops wasn't attacking them all hard at first.
Yeah, but see, that's the other side of what I just described. Those cops didn't think that those people would hurt them at first. You know? They really didn't expect it, obviously. Just like in Ottawa the first time, they didn't expect it.
Do the Nazi truckers in Canada usually have the cops on their side? Like, do the cops usually be, like, if they're protesting, will the cops always be facing their enemies?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's like that everywhere, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, law enforcement and fascism go hand in hand, but That's the difference there. One of them cooperated, one of them didn't. And, like I said, sooner or later, it's going to happen down there. It's going to be something that, I would expect it in a place like Florida. I can see a fucking squad of Proud Boys trying to beat up some Miami-Dade cops or something. And, well, that'll change things. That will change things. Everybody knows that in every city in North America. If somebody actually seeks out cops to punish them or kill them, the cops are not going to stop. Nothing else matters. So, give them enough rope. That's the thing.
I think they just look at that like a family dispute, and it would end eventually, and they'd be cool again.
But then there are some who are true accelerationists who really wouldn't give a shit about that. Right? So, like these Diagolon fucking idiots and other groups like that, I mean, they don't really seem to be too intimidated by armed civil resistance. So maybe they're full of shit, maybe they're not, but they're not going to do much to stop it. That's what I think.
I mean, it just depends how many of the cops are on their side, and then eventually how much of the military is on their side. You see what I'm saying? It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
And how many of them are going to be willing to just take out their own people that look like them? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the secret is the destruction of the political institutions is not finished yet, because it's still quite possible for some sort of either kicking the can down the road for another 5 years or something like that. DC could accomplish that. If they keep fucking around like they are for another 5 years, then it's probably too late for anything good to happen. Period.
It's been too late. It's getting too later every minute that goes by. That's the way I feel.
Oh yeah, well, exactly. I'm not in the U.S., so it's easy for me to have that perspective.
I mean, there's no longer at a point where you could do it without a lot of death and destruction. Because they're not just going to say, yeah, you guys are right. I mean, even if you try to shut it down peacefully, like I said before, if everyone goes out on freeways and chills and shuts it down everywhere, like you're not moving anything, none of your commerce is going anywhere, no one's getting to work until you start meeting some of the people's demands. Eventually, violence would come down on those people. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely, because you just, you can't stop commerce because you feel like it. Fuck you, you can't do that. We won't let you.
That's why you can't, I don't know. I mean, but if people, I'm saying, for any change to happen, it's got to come to violence and tragedy and a lot of loss of life.
That's the way it's been engineered.
And that's probably why a bunch of people aren't really jumping into it.
It's not a very optimistic upside. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but the thing is, eventually, you're not going to have a choice. It's going to be so bad. You got to survive or fight back.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, this is...
And the longer you let it go, the worse it gets. The more they restrict you, the more they lock you down, the more they surveil everything. That's what I'm saying. If they had done this in the 80s or 90s, it'd be way easier. It'd be harder to communicate, but people were used to communicating in other ways. And it'd also be harder to mass surveil all those people. You know what I mean? It's like they could have done it in the 50s or 60s, and it's the same thing. The longer you let it go, the harder it's going to be. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't matter what the era is. In the last 200 years, probably since the Industrial Revolution, governments have been very concerned about knowing as much about their own fucking people and what they're doing as they possibly can. And the only thing that has made it keep advancing is technology. They've always wanted to know everything. Doesn't matter what they say or what they write or what laws they have. The bottom line is if they had a fucking choice, they'd know everything. Why not? Who wouldn't? You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
that
you know,
is true.
that's the bottom line. Christ. I mean, that's like saying, do you want 80% of your market, or would you like to take a risk for 100% of the market? You know, that's a hard question for a lot of people, especially those kind of people. When is enough enough? I just want a
Yeah.
tangent for a second. I really don't understand. How the fuck is Twitter supposedly worth $44 billion? How?
I know. I thought it was more like $64 billion.
I just don't understand.
I think they should just make dude buy it now. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it's just like, I mean, a lot of people just suspected, like I did, that he didn't want to buy it. It's just a huge publicity stunt.
And it didn't work out too well.
That's my point. They should make him have to pay some huge fines or something.
Well, he may have to yet.
I
But
mean,
I
like half
mean,
the money fines.
yeah, okay, still. But I mean, just with his goofball behavior and using Tesla as backing for this bid cost him way more money than he ever thought he would. Like, he basically already bought Twitter without buying Twitter for how much his shit is devalued.
Wow.
So, nice try, dude. Good thing you got deep pockets, because it sure as fuck didn't work out.
He
But
didn't want it
whatever.
to work out. It did work out. Well, I mean, it didn't work out like you said. Yeah, it's a disaster. But I'm saying, as far as getting his name all out there, that's what he was trying to do.
That's some pretty expensive airtime. That's Super Bowl Maximus airtime. Holy shit. Actually, Super Bowl ad would probably be as close as you could get, because what was Super Bowl this last year? It was, what, $6 million for 30 seconds?
But the right wing people think he's like a bastion of free speech now.
Because he's
Like
rich. That's it.
I mean, but they just love
Everybody,
him. So,
everybody who's mega rich is some kind of fucking freedom fighter to these idiots.
but I'm saying he can use that to his advantage. I'm sure.
Well, I'd like to know what happened to his promise to the UN to cure world hunger for what was a paltry $6 billion.
He had to try to get Twitter, man.
For 44. Yeah, oh yeah, sounds like a much better deal.
I'm gonna be honest. If he owned Twitter right now, world hunger wouldn't be a thing. Nobody on Twitter would be talking about it.
Yeah, it would be banned. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess depends
Uh,
how you look at it. Whatever. Okay, let's see. That's why you don't tangent. You should never fucking tangent. But as
yeah,
far as you tried to start us on with the evangelical right getting more militant all the time again, I mean, all this stuff with the Planned Parenthood and the abortion clinics, I remember all this shit when it came around the first time.
yeah.
And
It was
this is,
scary.
well, yeah. And it just was so stupid then. And now we're basically talking 30, 40 years later, and it's happening again. It just makes
But see,
absolutely
here's
no
here's the.
sense.
But there's a difference. Huge difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense. When Roe versus Wade happened, those people were fighting against abortion being legal. They were blowing up clinics because they disagreed with the government, right?
Yep.
So now the same people on the same side, when they get what they wanted, so they're just gonna go out and start wreaking havoc in the streets.
Yep.
It's like no matter what happens, no matter which way it goes, they're gonna be violent. They're gonna terrorize communities. They're gonna blow shit up. They're gonna shoot people.
Well,
The Christian soldiers.
there's a certain type of person that has to be made to understand that no means no. And this is how fascists get into power. They need a concentration of people who are like this. Unless they get the shit beat out of them the first time they try this, they're going to be back. And every time they do something and they don't get the shit beat out of them, they just get more bolder and think they can get away with more. There's only one way to stop some kinds of behavior. And, I mean, back when I went to school in another century, if you wanted to be an asshole in primary school, you probably found out it wasn't a good career choice moving forward. There's always one or two bullies that get through, but for the most part, not too many people put in the time because it doesn't pay off. But these
Yeah, you gotta
people,
be the head chief asshole.
yeah, exactly. But these people, this just never happened to them. I think they're the idiots from the participation medal generation. That's who these people are. They just told that until they get whacked over the head, it's okay. And they haven't been.
Well,
I don't know.
according to them, they hate participation trophies.
Well, then I don't know what
So
the hell they're hoping for,
yeah, they want
because they ain't
everyone to pull them.
accomplishing much else.
They want everyone to pull themselves up by their bootstraps like they do.
Well, I mean, there would be no fascism unless there was somebody who was lesser than you. There has to be somebody to blame. There has to be somebody to keep down. You can't have fascism without it.
I know. It's just funny they talk all that crap, and what are they doing? They're cosplaying out there in like military gear, going around with stupid signs,
You
just
notice
attacking
how
people.
you notice how none of them ever talk about Coeur d'Alene? And I still think that is just so awesome. Those 31 silent little snowflakes getting out of that U-Haul. While
I
the
just wish
Idaho
they had
State
done more.
Police, while the Idaho State Police hold assault rifles on them. Not a fucking word, nothing. Sheep,
Yeah.
all of them.
But then again, I don't know where it was. I think it was in Baltimore, maybe, or somewhere. There was a U-Haul full of Nazis, and they let them get away. They didn't disable their car. The U-Haul. They didn't
Yeah,
do any of that. I was like, why? I was
yeah.
watching it, like getting ready to see some Nazis on the suffering end of the finding out,
No,
and
that's known as the Kumbaya CI. That's what that is.
yeah, I don't know. I'd be suspect of the dude that put his arms out in between this, like let him go, let him
Fuck
get
that.
safely in their truck. Yeah, he should have been put to the ground no matter whose side he's on. Like, no, 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 no. This is our moment.
Yeah.
There's no cops anywhere. We're in the middle of
That's
nowhere. There's no cameras, and there's
that's
a
not how
truck
this
full of
shit works,
Nazis.
man. Yeah, that's not how this shit works.
That's like a fantasy, man. You're like, oh wow,
Well, I
we could
mean,
just end all these Nazis right here, lock them and burn the truck. I don't know.
but like we said, look at if it was the other way around. Think anybody's gonna say fucking let them go? Forget it.
Yeah, those Nazis will torture somebody.
Oh, big time. They'd have a good, grand old time. But
Yeah,
whatever.
you can't always be better than they are. You can't always not be like that. You do what you do for very different reasons. It's like I think Biden sucks. These Nazis, I'm sure they think Biden sucks. But I guarantee you, if you ask us why we think Biden sucks, it wouldn't be anywhere near the same answer.
Oh no, of course not. They
You see
don't
what I'm
know
saying?
anything. They just
So
know what they're supposed to say. That's it.
you might agree with Nazis on certain things, like the sky is blue. A Nazi will probably say the sky is blue, and it doesn't. But for the fundamental things, you're going to agree for different reasons, which means you don't agree at all. You know what I mean?
Well, there are just some things that rise to the top of the importance list. And an X in a box at the top of that list, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, thanks for coming out. We'll see you around. But
No, I don't.
this,
You don't even do things with them because fundamentally they are different.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. If I say Biden sucks, it's because there's kids in cages. There's you know he hasn't done anything. No student loan forgiveness. No stimulus payments. No UBIs. No health care. I could just go on and on. Funding the police, funding the military. They'll be like, Biden isn't funding the military or police enough. Biden's doing too much for COVID because that's a hoax. You know what I mean? Biden's not locking up enough kids on the border. You see, so you can't work with people that are like that.
yeah, but
It's
there's nothing to work with. These are
you
just
have to
political contrarians, man. That's it.
you
They
have
don't
to
even know
destroy
what the
them.
fuck they're talking about. They
I don't
just
know.
they,
It's just
they just picked a team, man. That's it.
yeah. But
That's
I'm
all.
saying these people out here now, they more than just pick the team. These cats are super fascist. They're white supremacists. They're Christian nationalists. They're very dangerous, and they're all over across the nation in the streets, endangering people's lives. Basically, like who knows what's going to happen when.
Well, this is what happens when you have a generation that has been exposed to the technology of, say, Gen Z and had the complete lack of responsibility if you're in a right class, racial background. And violence has become infinitely more acceptable than it was in even their parents' day. So I mean, if you grow your kids up in a traveling circus, come on now. What are they going to consider to be normal and acceptable compared to probably, everybody else? It ain't going to be the same. And
Yeah,
there's
but
just,
then but then they go to school and they pledge allegiance to the flag in the name of God. They learn that policemen are their friends and here to help, and soldiers are out fighting for their freedoms. I mean, they're just pumped full of fascist crap all day.
well, I mean, most of them somehow have a relationship in their immediate family with evangelical Christian bullshit. So, I mean,
And military people.
yeah, but it's the same type of thing. How many times have you heard that when you get enlisted to the Army, their job at basic is to break you down and put you back together? And religion does the same thing. So, I would
Yeah,
expect them to hang out.
but with the biggest military in the world means you have pretty much everybody has people in their family that's in the military and their friends and stuff that was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Now you got the situation where they'll be like, you can't criticize the military because Uncle Bob was in the military, or my homie Frankie was in the military. You can't criticize that. That's like criticizing them. You know what I mean? So it becomes this other whole thing. And then the
Yeah,
religion on top of that,
but
it's just,
the question you never hear people ask about that Uncle so and so was a Marine. What does he think about what's happening then? This happens a lot in Canada. People invoke the veterans. How dare you on behalf of the veterans? And then a veterans group says, excuse us, fuck you, we agree. See, that happens in Canada. I don't know if that happens in the States.
what did it? I mean, think about the football dude, Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah.
I think he should have stood up with his fist in the air. I'm not a big fan of the kneeling thing, but he did what he did, and it was awesome either way, right? So
Yep.
because what he sacrificed for it and what he stood up for. So anyway, from what I understand, some veteran dude he knows, the one that told him that's the most respectful way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my point. You got all these people we love the military. A veteran tell them this is the most respectful way to do it. I mean, you kneeling when people are supposed to be sitting. You're in a submissive position for a national anthem. I'm on with the
Which,
Tommy Robinson fist in the air kind of thing.
well, that's just
Um,
it. It's still to this day, when Mexico City 68 is brought up, it's like everybody's supposed to be like embarrassed and look away. And it's like, fuck you, people are programmed, you know? It's still valid today. Like, what don't you get? But, hey.
yeah, it's history. It's a like a awesome moment in history, right?
It's funny how sometimes you hear the stories about Jesse Owens at the Olympics in 1936 in Berlin, and how, as a black man, he won those medals in front of Hitler. Fuck you. Well, gee, what's the difference now with the treatment? You know? Well, it's not the same anymore, I guess. It's kind of back to the Truman rule. He's a son of a bitch, but he's our son of a bitch.
Well, now they say he did it in front of Putin. It's whoever the enemy is of America at the time. That's basically how it works.
Yeah.
They always got to have an enemy because as you're divided in the streets, you still got to unite with the oppressor against the oppressor's enemy that never did anything to you.
And you have to continue to give approval to empower your oppressor. That's what that is. There's these other guys, they're fucking scary. Give us more stuff.
You got to love the old rich white men and hate everybody they kill. I guess
Well,
that's how it works.
that's what keeps the wheels turning. Yeah, pretty much. Seems like it. How come, since gas in the US has gone down like almost 30 cents in 10 days, where'd all this big panic go about how Biden's destroying the economy? How come it just all vaporized? You know?
Man, gas still over $6, five
I,
50 something. I mean 5 80 something to $6 still.
I know it's still expensive, but I mean, just look how this shitstorm gets snuffed out so fast. I mean, it's so
Because
weak.
you know what the problem is when gas was like 480 and 450, in there. People were mad then. They were like, the gas is too expensive. This is ridiculous. And then so now what they're gonna do is they're gonna put it back even more than that to like five something, and they're expecting people to be like, oh yeah,
That's
this
more
is
like
way
it.
better. Yeah, they don't. Come on now, and you know
I
what?
know.
A lot of people will go for it.
Well,
That's the
yeah.
scary part.
But I mean, that's when you have a captured industry. There is no control. It's like we didn't make money that we were counting on for 2 fucking years. Well, we want all that money and we want it now. And government is going to make sure that all the rules mean that everybody has to get out there and fucking spend money just like they were doing before COVID. So cough it up and we'll tell you, when we're good. And you're exactly right. Increase it by 2/3. Let people bitch. Drop it maybe 5%. See what happens. Well, no, they're still bitching. Okay, well, we'll start to roll it back half of what we increased it, and then they'll be happy.
And they're gonna
Exactly.
go for it. And they're gonna go for it.
Well, there's not going to be any pushback. You're not going to see anybody on TV saying, okay, fine, keep fucking going. Nobody's going to say that. Right? They're probably going to try and make it just like the banks. Actually, the banks got together and, they decided this was a prudent thing to do. Yeah. That's the way they're going to play it. Yeah. They're doing you a favor, Smooth.
They screw you really a lot so they can screw you more than they were before when it was a lot. When they come back down, I've said it all whacked out. But anyway, back to the fascists. So now we got these fascists. They hate everybody. They hate gay people. They hate trans people. And they want to demand that trans people go and use the restrooms of their birth or whatever, or their parts that they have. So there's laws and they're trying to enforce this, and it's been a big deal, and people get attacked and harassed and all kinds of stuff, and physically assaulted at times, and sometimes brutally attacked. So then there's this campground in Ohio, and there was this trans man. And I brought this up, Glenn. If you remember, I brought this up a few times back a few years ago when they were like trying to say trans people had to use this bathroom and they didn't want neutral bathrooms and all this
with
and
the
that.
big spotlight on it so
And
everybody
I
could
said,
see
what's
them.
going to happen? I said, what's going to happen when a trans dude wants to go and use a woman's bathroom? I mean, is forced to use a woman's bathroom. They're going to see this manly, hairy dude using their restroom because he's required by law to do it. And that's exactly what happened here. A woman started screaming, saying, "Why are you in here?" And he was like, "That's where they told me I had to be."
Yeah.
And then he explained it. I'm trans. I have female body parts, woman body parts, he said. And then she yelled and screamed for him to leave and said it was inappropriate and he has to use the men's bathroom, which is, they want to make against the law, right?
Yep.
And then he goes outside, and what happens? A bunch of dudes are waiting out there to beat him up. So once again, now you have somebody being attacked, their lives endangered, when they could have just went in the other bathroom and it would have been smooth. You know what I mean? But no, we want to make people's lives difficult. We want to make an example out of them. We want to make sure that we have a reason to hurt them and shame them and whatever, right?
The whole thing sounds like a setup to me. This is the result that all those whiteys wanted there. This sounds like a setup to me, the whole thing.
Because they were told to use the women's restroom.
Yep. I mean, where are the details? Who are these people? Who's this woman in the bathroom? Who are the guys who beat him up? Are they there together? Yeah, I know, but are they there together? Like, what the fuck kind of reporting is this?
Yeah, no, it wasn't real specific who these people were.
No, because it's like, oh yeah, something happened. This is what happened. That's it. Now sports.
I guess because what happened was he was in the restroom His girlfriend was in the restroom, and then some other woman was in the restroom, and the other woman started yelling, "Who's in here? Who's in here?" And they both were like, "We're in here," or whatever, like "Hi," like whatever. And then the other woman flipped out, like, "You can't be in here." Then he explained he was trans, and she started screaming and screaming. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're right though. I didn't think about that. If you're at a campground, you probably seen the person a few times walking around past you.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't think about all that like that. See, that is a whole nother angle to look at it from.
No, I don't know. It just seems too convenient to me. And especially with just this lack of details at all.
Yeah.
There should be names. Whatever.
Well, no, there was the name of the trans man. There was a whole article about it.
Yeah, but not the people who got him into trouble, not the people who beat him up.
Yeah.
Let's just put
He
a
says
spotlight on him.
he says he wants him prosecuted.
Not likely to happen, I don't think. Especially
Yeah, I
there.
don't know, but I'm just saying it's a terrible situation
Oh yeah, it's
when you
bullshit.
force people to be uncomfortable and unhappy while using the bathroom, a simple bodily function. You know, it's like, come on now.
But I mean, things like this are
I,
really no accident. That's what these laws do. They isolate extreme minorities that the ideology of the state does not want around.
but I worked at so many places, Glenn, usually stages and stuff, where they just got restrooms. Doesn't have a male or female logo. It doesn't say men's or women's. It's just restrooms. And you got stalls you can go into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's not
You can't see
likely
through them.
that's not likely to be included in any of these whack job laws anyway, because the last thing they're going to do is scare the production capacity out of their state. Everybody wants media producing in their state. Everybody wants that. Nobody's going to fuck with them. This is just for public games. That's all this
But
is.
you're camping. You're in nature. People could be just digging a hole or squatting behind a tree or whatever, right?
Oh, you probably get arrested for that there too.
But I'm saying in nature, if you're just like, this is nature, then who cares where they're going? Like, why does it matter? Just let people use the restroom. If somebody approaches you and does some weird stuff in there or tries to assault you, that's a whole other story. If someone is using the restroom, and generally in restrooms when people are getting assaulted, it's usually the trans people, not anybody else.
That's always the way it is, but that's not how the fear is sold. I mean, it's just like
Eh,
every other thing that's supposedly widespread and it's extremely rare.
because the
But
population is so low.
yeah,
There's a
and it's
tiny
just,
trans population.
I mean, how basic do you have to have an understanding of psychology to figure it out that like these people are the ones who are going to go out and make a fucking scene and cause problems? Are you crazy? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. This is one of the last groups that is looking to go out in public and cause problems. Are you kidding me? It's just such fear-mongered bullshit.
I
But
mean, there's as many. You gotta look at trans people as they're just part of the population. As humans, there's good people, and people are gonna do good, and people are gonna do bad. It's probably the same amount in that demographic as well, right? It probably doesn't change. It's like
yeah,
it's
but
just it's not like it's oh, these trans people are coming to cause problems. They're there to use a restroom. They're there to relieve themselves so they don't piss on the floor.
but It's
Just
not
like when you
about,
go in the restroom. I mean,
but it's not about
I
that,
would,
man.
and then you see a lot of these videos where people are filming, like this one, she was running for congresswoman in LA or something. She was filming herself running this trans woman out of a Denny's because she was trying to use the restroom. And she was sitting harassing people trying to eat. She was a menace. She's running for political office, or she was at the time. I'm pretty sure she lost, but yeah, she was just menacing these people. She was
Well,
all like they were trying to eat. She's hanging over their booth with camera or her phone, filming them, talking all this shit. And then if somebody would have got fed up and whomped her, she'd have been a victim. These trans people are so horrible because most people, anybody that doesn't, they were very patient people. I think she ran her out of there is what happened. Everyone they finally left because she chased them out. And yeah, it's that's bullying, it's menacing, it's terror.
well, I mean, we touched on this a while ago. I mean, a bully is going to find the softest victim they can. And, this, these, this subset of society, that's about it, you know? That's
Yeah,
why
but
these
it's
people have picked that as their problem, because they think they can just go, fuck, no problem.
I've been saying this is a scary possibility because I know some people that are trans men, and I thought about that. Like, if you're forced to go into the women's restroom, I mean, they live in California, so it's a lot easier. But I was thinking about in other states, there's people like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's crazy. Like, why wouldn't you let people just go use the restroom where they're comfortable and happy? Like, it's the restroom.
because it can be politicized and power can be gained. That's why.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I see someone in the restroom and they don't wash their hands, I'm not going to be eating around them, shaking their hand. I'll be looking at them kind of messed up. But I'm not going to go and chase, unless I know. If I know them, I'll yell at them. But if I don't know them, I'm probably not going to go crazy. I just, I'm not trying to introduce myself or shake their hand or touch anything they touch. That's the kind of stuff when you're in a restroom you should be looking out for. People that try to sneak out without washing their hands. But
I
no,
don't I don't get the whole fucking thing. It's not why I'm in there. I don't give a fuck who's in there. I'm in there for a purpose. I'm done. I leave later. That's it. Like
it's petty.
it's not gonna be in my diary for the day. It's just it doesn't matter. But whatever. People gotta have shit to bitch about.
It just seems like if nobody's messing with you, you don't need to mess with nobody. If somebody's minding their business, using the restroom, or trying to eat at a restaurant or anything else, leave them alone. If they're not messing with you, you don't need to mess with them. Let them live their lives. Let them be happy. It's just like wow. And
Why
if
are
for some
people
reason
bullies?
you just hate them and hate everything about them, then that's great. That's your prerogative. Keep it to yourself.
It doesn't work that way.
I mean, because I guarantee you, if you hate them and everything about them for no apparent reason, then there's a whole lot of people, probably more than you can imagine, that hate you for a good reason. You just have a small group of bigots that hang out with other bigots and validate each other, basically.
Well, again, like you said, and this strain of social behavior is being more normalized all the time through a number of specific attack vectors. And it just, is it more than the sum of its parts? Could be. Probably. The momentum certainly is. That's the other thing too. As it becomes more and more normalized to completely degrade one identifiable group, then it becomes easier for the next one and the next one. It's like when they came for the communists, I didn't do fuck all. It's that type of thing. And that's why everybody uses stupid quotes like that, is because they're for real, man. But, lol, keck. How you liking the ride so far? You're muted, right?
Oh, I was just talking away.
That's what I thought. That's why I thought I'd mention it.
Wow. How long have you not heard me responding to you?
4 seconds or so.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. I won't fire the engineer just yet.
Reprimand.
Yeah. He still has his job today. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else? I think we went through all the topics we had.
Yep.
And yeah, I look at the show on my regular account, and I see you on there. I see me on there, and then I look at the show right here on the live where I'm at, and it looks like I'm the only person on here. But it keeps popping up at the top of the screen like a notification saying, "Here it comes again. Glenn Type Guy accepted and is now a co-host."
Well,
Glenn Type Guy is accepted and is now a co-host. It just keeps doing it over and over and
yeah,
over.
but have you clicked it or what?
Yeah, I've clicked it. I tried to close it. It just keeps popping up, popping up, popping up.
What an awesome Tesla product.
So here's the other thing I got. I'm working on some more my non-objective opinion shows, trying to get more awesome people to talk to on those, and I think I got at least a couple already lined up coming soon, talking about to some awesome people about some awesome things. So I guess the people could stay tuned for those. Whoop whoop.
There you go.
Anything else?
No, I don't do shows anymore, so I got nothing to promo.
Oh. Is it today the day you're gonna make the big announcement?
There is no announcement.
Okay. We'll ask you again in a few weeks.
Yeah, you do that.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, 11 billion listeners. And I think I found the end button.